Hi folks, this is Vicki from patternprincess.com. Today I'm going to show you how to do this beautiful blanket. It's a classically simple crochet shell blanket. I used, I would say 3 jumbo skeins of yarn and then a good portion of another regular size skein of yarn. But it's Red Heart Super Saver yarn, nothing fancy, and it's buff. It's what I happen to have had staying home during this COVID pandemic time. I use what I have for yarn. Thank gosh I have a little bit of a yarn stash, so I thought that this was just a very pretty open, nice weave blanket. And it has, because it's all one color, I really think that it has like that heirloom quality to it. I had put a photo on it at the beginning of this video just so you can see what the blanket looks like in entirety. The border here I just kept very simple. It's just a couple rows of single crochet and then a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, skipping a stitch with a chain 1. So I was going to add more onto it, but then I thought, I really don't want to take away from this beautiful blanket and the nice holes, and I struggled with what to do with the border, and so I got to this point and I said to my husband, what do you think? And he said, I think it's done. So, and I asked my daughter too, and they were like, no, we kind of like that on the end of it. It gives a little bit of a lacy look, and it finishes it off nicely. But let me see, let me give you the details of this. I used a size K hook for the crochet, and it's about 12 stitches per 4 inches is the gauge. This pattern is multiples of 5 plus 4, and so I did a total of 149 stitches. Let me see the size. The size I have it written down here. I gotta look. The size is 74. You can see all my scribbles as I'm doing things. 74 inches long with 52 inches wide. My total yards of yarn, because I didn't use a full skein, that last one that went around the edge, I used a regular skein. Otherwise, I'd used about 3 jumbo skeins for the body of the blanket. So it's not quite one whole skein, so it's about 25 yards. You will have a little bit of yarn left over. I hate to have folks run out if you're working on it. This is a total of 105 rows. Once you get to row 5, it's a row 2 through 5 repeat. So we are going to do the first 5 rows, and then I'm going to actually add a little bit more, so I have a nice little looking little swatch, and then I'm going to show you how to do the border too. So I have 24 chains already here chained. Now, because when I first started this blanket, I wasn't sure what I was going to do for a border. Sometimes when you crochet into this top loop of your chain stitch on the bottom here, it'll get kind of stretchy and just kind of pulls out. And I don't know, the more I'm crocheting and the better, I should say, I'm getting my skills, the less I like that. So when I did my first stitches, I did them into this back bump. You see when you turn it, there's this little back bump here and these little bumps. That's what we're going to be crocheting into, okay? So our very first row, again, for the blanket, I did 149. Today, I've done 24 stitches. I haven't done the whole big thing. So we're going to count 5 from the hook. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to turn that over. I'm going to keep my finger there because otherwise I'll lose count. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a double crochet. So I'm yarning over, put my hook through that bump, yarn over, bring the yarn through, and then you bring the yarn through 2 loops and 2 loops. Now this first chain 5 here, this counts as a treble crochet and a chain 1. One of the rows you'll be ending with that on the stitch. So it's just to keep in mind that that does count for something. Then you're going to chain 2, 1, 2. Skip 2 bumps, 1, 2. And then in the next 3 bumps, I'm going to yarn over it, we're going to do a double crochet. So here's the first one, yarn over, we're going to go through the next bump. Sometimes it's a little bit hard to get into, so you don't want to have your first chains be really tight, but not too loose either, because then it defeats the purpose of going into the back here. There's my 3, and then we're going to chain 2 and skip 2 and go into the third one, and we're going to do 3 double crochet in the next 3 stitches. So it's 1, 2, and once you get going on this, oh gosh, it goes fast. It just was very fun making this blanket. It was a little bit long. It was a nice little bit larger project. Chain 2, skip 2, and then 3 more double crochet. But it's nice sometimes to have these larger projects that take a few weeks to get done. So I enjoyed making this. And this one I've actually made for my brother. Him and his other half, they have been together for a number of years, and they bought a house together recently. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful house. And I had taken a few pictures, unbeknownst to them, when I was in the house, because I planned on making them a blanket. And so I've been pondering this for like 9 months on what to make. And I finally figured out this is what I'm going to do. And I think that I have pictures of it on the website, on the pattern. The whole pattern will be on the website, but I have pictures of the inside of the house too. And I think this is going to look so pretty there. Okay, so now we have 4 stitches left. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now we're going to end it with chain 2, skip 2, and then in the last 2, we're going to do a double crochet. Okay, and 1 more here to go. There we go. All right, so we're going to turn it and we're on to row 2. Now we're going to chain 1, okay? And then we're going to single crochet in the same stitch right here. Then we're going to skip the next stitch, and then this next stitch here, we're going to do a shell stitch. Now, the shell stitch is 5 double crochets. So in this chain 2 space right here, I'm going to yarn over, because remember we're skipping this one, and we're going to do 5 double crochet. 1, yarn over, same place, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're going to, you know, I hate that. My yarn always seems to tangle whenever I do a video. It drives me crazy. We're going to skip 1, and then the next one here, so in the middle stitch of your row below, do a single crochet. I'm going to skip 1, and then do 5 double crochet in the next. So it's not too bad so far, right? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to skip 1 and single crochet in that middle. Yarn over because we're going to skip 1 and we're going to do 5 more double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're almost done with this row. We're going to skip the 1 and we're going to single crochet in the middle. And then we're going to skip the 1 and then we're going to do the 5 double crochet right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. You might be able to hear my dog breathing heavy. It was thundering here just a little bit ago and he's hiding underneath my chair right now. It's kind of funny. So what we're going to do here is we're going to, after the last shell, in the that's in the chain 2 space, we're going to skip this and we're going to single crochet right on top of the chain, right here on top of the chain 3 stitch. So we got a 1, 2, we count right here. We're going to stick it in. Okay, row 2 is done. Now we're going to go to row 3. We're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And remember that counts as a treble crochet and a chain 1. We're going to skip the next stitch and then we're going to do 3 double crochet in the next 3. 1, 2, 3. Then you're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and you're going to skip 3. 1, 2, 3. So it's really in that crown spot, the crown, the top 3 middle spot, double crochets of the previous row. That's where we're going to double crochet. So sometimes I could eyeball it pretty good, but a lot of times I just kept counting it just to be sure. It depends on how intense I think the movie was that I was watching with my family, whether I counted or not. 1, 2, skip 3, 1, 2, 3. So it really is, I thought, a very relaxing pattern, and there's just enough variation in the rows to make this just so fun. It doesn't get boring. And what you're really doing is you're setting up each row. So every other row, if you look, it's gonna, one row you're doing the setup, the next row you're doing the shells. So it works. Chain 2, and then 1, 2, 3, skip, go here, and then we go 1, 2, 3, chain 1, yarn over twice, because we're gonna chain 1, we're gonna skip this one, and in the very last stitch we're gonna do a treble crochet. And so treble crochet, we had a yarn over twice. It's 1, 2, 3, and that row is done. So we're going on to row 4. Row 4, we're gonna start with a chain 3, which does count as a double crochet, and then we're going to double crochet in the spot here. So we're going to 1, 2, 3 double crochet, or I'm sorry, 3 chain, and then 2 double crochet in that chain 2 space. 1, 2, my yarn, pardon me. And then we're going to skip a space, and we're going to single crochet here. So really what we just did is did like a half shell on this end here, and now we're going to go to our full shell. 5 double crochet in that chain 2 space. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Skip 1, single crochet. And then we're going to skip 1 and 5 double crochet in that chain 2 space. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Skip 1, single crochet. Skip 1, and in the chain 2 space, do 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Skip 1, single crochet in the next one, and then we've come to the end of the row. And to be honest, I have to read here because I got to make sure I don't mess this up. So we're going to skip this one, and then we're going to work 2 double crochet here, and then we're going to double crochet in the 3rd stitch. So yarn over, work 2 double crochet in the space. Okay, and then we're going to go 1, 2, 3, and then in the 3rd one here, because sometimes you pull this here, and that way it'll match the other side. And there we go, there's your another half. So right now, let's take a look at it. We have 4 rows done. Oops, I got that turned under. So we have 4 rows all done. So now we're coming to the row 5, and so remember, what you're going to be repeating is rows 2 through 5, but I think you can already start to see that repeat. The only thing that's going to be different is what you're going to do on the ends of each one. But once you do a large blanket like that, it starts to, you can start to remember it, and it becomes pretty easy to figure out what you're going to do. So what we do is we do a chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and this is row 5. And then we're going to double crochet in the next stitch, chain 2, 1, 2. Guess what? Skip 3, 1, 2, 3. Double crochet in the next 3. 1, 2, whoopsies, I missed my loops. 3. And I chose, I should say I chose a bigger hook. You could use a smaller hook. 1, 2. Skip 3. But I chose the, and I'm double crocheting in the next 3. Because I wanted a little bit looser looking and a looser kind of a lacy look to it, not tight stitches. So that's kind of why I chose the little bit bigger hook for this, just because I wanted to be able to see the stitches and be, like I said, just kind of looser and lacy. 1, 2, skip 3, 3 double crochet, 1, 2, 3. chain 2, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to end, whoopsies, end with a double crochet here and in the last top chain of the 3 chains that we started with in the row before. So that is all 5 rows. So now what you're going to do is you'd start off with a row 2 again, and we turn it, right? And then we would do chain 1, single crochet in the same stitch, okay? And then we would, in this next double crochet area here, we would do a shell, and then single crochet, and then a shell, and then skip 1 single crochet, and do the shell, right, all the way along, and then we move to the next row, which would be the repeat of row 3. So I think you got it. I'm going to do a little bit more just to get this a little bit squared out, and then I'll show you how I did the border. And really the border, if you've crocheted borders and stuff a lot, then you'd I could quick explain it to you here before I start it. But it's I did a single crochet all the way around with 3 single crochet in the corner. Actually, I think I did a I had to look at my notes. Here's my notebook that I keep next to me when I'm crocheting. So, and then after a while, then I type it out. And then when I'm doing my sample for you folks, I see if I make mistakes, because I don't like to have mistakes. I like to have things so that you folks can understand them. So the first round I did 3 single crochet in each corner. The second round I did a single crochet around, but I did in each corner stitch, I did a single crochet, chain 1, single crochet. And then in round 3, I did a chain 3 to begin with, and then I did a double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet all the way around. In the corners though, in that corner chain stitch, I did a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. So that is how I did the border, but I will show you folks as well how to do it. But I just wanted to quickly give you an overview. I'm going to work on the border now. Just as a reminder, this is what the border looks like. 2 rows of single crochet and 1 row of double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. So I'm going to work this for you. The swatch that I did here, it's a total of 10 rows. I ended up on the 5th row. It's what I did with the Afghan 2 when I made it. So in the corners, each corner, I worked 3 single crochet. So right in this corner, I didn't, because it's the same color of yarn, I didn't switch yarn, I just kept using the same yarn. So we're going to just work 1, 2, oops, 3 single crochet right in that space, and then we're going to work up the side, and in the next space we're going to do a single crochet, and then 1 here. And what you do is I just kind of eyeball a lot of times and see, because you don't want it to be bunchy and you don't want it to cause it to ripple. So I could do 1 right here, but it actually would be easier to just do 3 here. So I'm going to do 3 in this space here. Whoops. And then I'm going to do 1 right here. That kind of anchors a little bit more. And then 1 in the next space. And then 1 in the next space. So I'm not actually going in through like each stitch. I could, but I think if you go around the yarn like this on the edge, it does just as nice, and it's a lot easier to do. So I could also go into this one here. And then I'll do 3 in this space. Because remember, we did those chain 3s and those chain 5s, and that's a stitch space. That's a stitch space. And then we're to the corner again, and we can do 3 here. 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to our other stitches. Here's a stitch. Okay, now we're on this is actually the beginning row. So in here, remember, we skipped 2, so we're just going to do 2 right here. So it was pretty easy to do. And then actually here, because I worked in the back bump, it makes it really easy to go in here now and pick up the 2 loops and do your single crochet in each loop, in each stitch. And then we go back in between here, 2, and then 1, 2, 3. We're going to go 1, 2, 3 stitches again. Because remember, we had those 3 double crochet. And then we work another single crochet, another single crochet in this space, and then go right into the stitch again. 2, 3, and then we're going to do 2 more here, and then 1 more here, and then we're to the corner where we're going to do 3. 1, 2, 3. And then I'm actually going to stick one right here in this stitch. I'm working up the other side. And I'm going to go into this stitch spot. And then we're going to do 3 in the middle, because this was that chain 5 space. And then there's a stitch right here I'm going to stick it into, because that I find just helps anchor it when you go around them sometimes. You go around these stitches like this, and then I'll stick one where the stitches are. And then we have, whoops, my yarn is running out. I didn't think it would run out so quickly. All right, what did I say? We're going to do one more here, and then go into this stitch. So you kind of ease it around, and it's going to look awful. Wait till right now you're thinking, oh my God, this is so twisted up and curled up, but it'll be fine. We're going to do one more here. You kind of eyeball it, and you know, if it seems wavy, pull it out and do less. If it seems like it's sparse, pull it out and do more. This border is very forgiving, so we're going to do 3 in the corner, 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to go into the next stitch. So now the part that I'm working on, and here we got our chain 2 space, and then we got to go into our stitches. 1, 2. This was the top row. Okay, we're in the top row already. 1, 2 in the space, just like we did on the bottom, and then 1 in the top of each stitch. But yeah, it looks kind of awful right now, but wait till I lay it out. It'll be okay. I promise you. So we're almost done with our first round. Don't you wish yours would be this fast? 1, whoopsies, 2, and I'm going to do one more here, and then I'm going to slip stitch into this first stitch and pull through. Now, make that loop bigger. Okay, now that I've scrunched it all, let's get it all straight here. See, it all straightens out. So that is round 1 done. You know, if I wanted, you know, of course on a bigger blanket you can't really tell, but if I was going to use this, let's say I was going to make it into a coaster or something else, I would block it. I would make sure that it was blocked and nicely looking. But now what you have, if you do, see, I a lot of times do a single crochet when I'm working on borders, because it gives you a great foundation to work with as you're adding whatever you're adding. So in that way you have anchor stitches where it doesn't pull apart on things. You see how nice that looks here? And then I turned it around. Remember that first row? It looks just as nice. It doesn't pull apart because I worked in those the back bumps on the first row. This was the top and this was the bottom where I first started. So I think it makes a difference. So anyway, this second row, we're just going to chain 1, and then we're going to, just because it gives you a little bit of height here to work it. So in that same stitch, I'm going to single crochet, chain 1, and then single crochet into that corner loop. And then we're going to single crochet all the way around. So that makes it very easy. We're just going to single crochet at every single stitch. And because you've already done the work of figuring out where your stitches go, kind of easing them around the edge, this is just easy. You just know, you just crochet in every single stitch. So I'll show you again a corner as we get to the end. And then I'll show you how to do the third round, and then the blanket will be complete. It's just a nice dainty little border just to kind of polish off the blanket and make the edges look nice. Okay, here's that corner stitch, because here was a 3. So we're going to single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, all in the same stitch, right? And then we continue on doing our single crochet all the way around. It just, look at how fast it'll go. And if you're working on a big blanket, this is a lovely way to finish off a blanket and not have to think about any hard stitches to do. But it still looks so pretty. And I want to do a second corner for you just because. Okay, so I'm in this corner again here, in the next corner. And then I'm going to put my yarn in, single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, and now I'm just continuing on. So you're going to continue to do that for the next 2 sides, and we're going to meet back over here. You're going to slip stitch not into that first chain 1 space, but into that first single crochet space, okay? And I'll meet you right back there. Okay, I've gone all the way around and I've joined with a slip stitch. Now, you can, because I ended with my yarn when I had made the blanket originally, I actually just had joined my yarn on the side because I started with a fresh, smaller skein of yarn. And however, this time here, when I had made the swatch for you, I had just kept in the corner and started in the corner. So just know that you can start and stop wherever. If you wanted to do a corner, start in a corner. If you wanted to join a different color of yarn, this is very forgiving that way. But I'm in the corner, and right here is that little chain 1 space from the row before. So I'm right at that space. So I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. But then remember, we were going to do a chain or a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet all in that corner stitch. So I'm going to chain 1 more, because this is going to count as the first double crochet and a chain 1. Then I'm going to yarn over, and then right in that same space I'm going to do a double crochet. That way it'll mirror all of the other areas that you do. So chain 1, skip 1, yarn over and double crochet in the next. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet in the next. So chain 1, skip 1, double crochet. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet. Chain 1, right here, skip 1, double crochet. So this is the same pattern. You work all the way around. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet. I want to show you again how to do that corner. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet. Sometimes in the corner it depends on, here's a little chain space. It's kind of small. It's right on the edge here. So sometimes it's going to be kind of hard to get your hook through, but that's okay. We can do that. So we still have a chain 1 and a skip 1 and a double crochet. So you're probably thinking, oop, and then I forgot to chain 1. Did you see that? Did you catch what I did? I did. Okay. So sometimes you end up, like I'm right next to this here, but that's okay. Sometimes you're going to not have quite enough room to skip another one, but you're really going to skip the one here. So I'm still going to chain 1, stick my hook in there, and do my double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. So on this side, you've actually just skipped this little one in here. I don't know, sometimes if you don't have the exact right number of stitches, don't worry about it. It all seems to come out whether you end up right next to it. If you still add that chain 1 on, it's going to work fine, because chain 1 and skip this one and start here. I'm going to show you. Chain 1, skip 1, because the corners, you want them to have the yarn eased around in it, because if you don't, they won't lay flat. They'll curl on you. And if you have, an extra stitch, it's just like when I do my rib stitching. Sometimes it's like, well, one time it's going to be front post and the next time it's going to be back post, but it all works out. And then I'll show you the next corner here, and then you'll see, I'm kind of hurrying so that you can see what I'm doing on both corners, and then I'll lay it flat and then you'll see. Okay, see now this one here is going to work out a little bit better, so you have a little bit more room to work with. So I'm going to double crochet in here. Come on. Oh, not quite the center. And chain 1 and double crochet. So when you look at the corners, of course that's as far as I got with that one, but I'll come around the edge. But you see how they'll lay down flatter, and look at the difference it makes just having this a little bit of an extra border on here versus just your single crochets. I just think that it adds nicely. And again, this is kind of pulled funny right now. If I were going to do something nice with it, I'd actually, well, it's even taking more shape here as I just mess with it with my hands. So don't worry about your borders are going to look kind of goofy like this, but now look at this side. See how pretty that is, laying down already and flat and nice. So give this a chance. When I come around here, I'm going to go around this side, and then I would slip stitch it right to here, and they would be all done. So I hope that you've enjoyed this tutorial of how to make this beautiful blanket. And remember that the whole written pattern is on the website. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to stay up to date with different patterns and tutorials that I show for you. Thank you very much for watching.